Shalom. The story is said about two great geniuses, two great rabbis by the name of Rabbi Chaim Brisker and Rabbi Yosef Rosen the Ragachover. Rabbi Chaim Brisker said to the Ragachover one day when he saw him, Mazel Tov. Mazel Tov on your wedding. The Ragachover answered, what are you talking about? I got married 20 years ago. Well, Rabbi Chaim said, according to you, a wedding is a perpetual action. It's a consistent action that repeats itself every second. What do I mean by that? There are two types of actions. There's an action you do one time, and it's an act that happened one time and that's it. And then there's certain things that happened the first time and they are continuously happening. There's a consistent and continuous renewal that's happening right now. Whenever you have two opposites that meet and stay together, you need that renewal to happen. For example, if a person takes a stone and throws it in the air, as long as that stone is going against its nature, which is to fall on the floor, that stone is actually in a state as if I threw it right now, at this second. I threw it 5 seconds ago. Every second that it's going against its nature, that's what's happening. It's in a consistent renewal. It's continuing to happen right now. So too the Ragachover thought that when it comes to a wedding which brings two opposites together, it's not only that you get married, but the marriage is something which is consistently renewing itself every second. As long as you're together, it's as if you got married that moment. So Rabbi Chaim said to him, Mazel Tov, you just got married right now according to your opinion. The Ragachover said, well, at my wedding I received the Mazel Tov. And since the Mazel Tov was associated to the wedding, which is a perpetual renewal, therefore the Mazel Tov as well is repeating itself every moment. In this week's Torah portion, Yaakov Avinu made his bed and he rested on stones, and God made a miracle and folded the whole land of Israel under Jacob and said to him in a dream, this land that you are resting upon is going to be yours and for all generations to come, to your descendants. I'll give it to them. According to this, says Rashi in the name of the Talmud of Chulin at page 91, that God made that through Jacob resting upon the land of Israel, it was a type of beginning a process of ownership of the land of Israel. As it's mentioned in the Talmud of Baba Batra, page 53b. Over there, it says that a person that's going to be on a land that is ownerless, and he's going to make his bed and then rest upon it. At that moment, he will do what's called a kinyan chazakah. He will actually start a process of acquiring this place. And if this is so, this is what Yaakov Avinu did. But the Ragachover has a question on this. What are you talking about? When did God fold the land under the bed of Jacob, our forefather? After he was already resting. We know that you can only acquire that space once you make the bed and you lie upon it. So, if God would have folded the whole land of Israel in that area, and then Jacob would have made his bed and then rested upon it, then it would have been acquiring the land, a kinyan chazakah. But now that he's already resting and God just folded the land under him, it's like, here's my carpet and anything that's under it. You buy it, and after you bought it, somebody started putting things under the carpet. It makes no sense. How is that acquiring anything that's under him? To this, the Ragachover says that in the Tosefta of Betza, it says that these stones that we sat on when we were children fought with us when we became elders. Meaning that a stone by nature in halakha, in Jewish law, is not a recipient. Therefore, when we sat on stones which were not really comfortable and they were not made for sitting, therefore our bodies became weaker. What does that mean? It means that a stone by nature is not a recipient, is not a vessel. The same thing on Shabbat. You're not allowed to touch a stone because a stone has absolutely no function whatsoever. According to halakha, at the time of the temple, there was a concept of purity and impurity. And if a person would sit on a chair, for example, or lie on a bed and he was impure, that object which he sat on or lied on would become impure. What is the situation if a person that was impure sat on a stone, on a rock? Well, the halakha is very interesting. As long as the gentleman is using it as a recipient, then as long as he's sitting on it, it's a vessel and it's considered impure. The moment he gets up, it's no longer considered impure. Interesting. Because the nature of the stone is not to be a vessel, not to be a recipient, not to be a chair, not to be a bed. Says the Ragachova, this is exactly what happened with Jacob, our forefather. When he made his bed and lied upon his bed, lied upon the stones by nature are not the recipient. And therefore, every second that Jacob is using it as a recipient, he's making these stones into a recipient. It's as if he's made his bed right now, every second that he's lying upon it. And therefore, even though God folded the land of Israel under the stones, under the bed of Jacob, after he was lying down, makes no difference, because at that moment, it's a renewal, a perpetual action of renewal of making his bed. This is the same thing with the world. There was a great French philosopher by the name of Lavoisier. He said, nothing is lost, nothing is gained, everything is transformed. Meaning that everything we see in the world is only transforming one object to another status. But the creation of the world itself is what? Is not transforming one thing to another. There was nothing before, and God is creating the world. And therefore, there's a renewal of creation that's happening in a perpetual way. Every second, God is renewing the world. Imagine going to a 3D movie, for example, and you see people in front of you. As long as the camera is projecting on the screen, you see the people. The moment it stops, everything disappears. There's a consistent renewal that's happening every moment in the world. And therefore, the world's true nature is not to exist. The only thing that truly exists is God. And therefore, the moment a Jew does a mitzvah or studies Torah, he's associating himself to the eternity of Hashem, and then he is above the world. And at that moment, by his action, he can actually transform the whole reality of the world. Shabbat Shalom.